All right, students. So yesterday, if you all remember, we saw about financial powers, judicial powers of the president. Among financial powers, we just discussed that financial powers of the president is that the budget is presented or in the parliament only in the name of the president. Second, money bills can be introduced only with president's permission. And third, the president has a right to grant an advance from contingency fund. This is related to financial powers. And judicial powers is that the president can either reduce or can suspend the sentence of a person even if the person is found as guilty. So that right is only with the president. The next is the president is not answerable to any court for his or her actions. Whatever actions the president does, he is not answerable to the court. But yes, as we had seen previously, that the tenure of the president is for 5 years, right? So in between these 5 years, if at all the president is found guilty of any corruptions or any action which is not related or to the not abiding to the rules of the constitution, then an impeachment would be granted to the president, right? Impeachment means what? He would be removed from his presidency. Then now we are doing emergency powers. And here also I remember discussing you the 3 different scenarios when the president can declare emergency. So the first scenario is whenever there is a threaten, okay, whenever the security of the country is threatened, in that case the president can declare emergency. Secondly, if any state government, okay, they do not function according to the laws of the constitution, in that case what the president can do, he can impose his own rule on that particular state. Okay, so this rule applies to all the states of the entire country. Next, third scenario is that the financial stability of the country is threatened. In that case, financial emergency is declared. Okay, these are the 3 scenarios where a president can declare emergency. But the president cannot declare an emergency without the approval of the parliament. This is very important. We saw the 3 scenarios where the president can declare emergency, but he cannot declare emergency until and unless the president receives an approval from whom, children? From the parliament.
Parliament.
Yes. Even though the president has many powers, all of them are limited and are exercised strictly according to the advice of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. If you'll remember, right in the beginning of the chapter, we had come to this particular phrase that although the president works as, you know, as the head, but the main people he rules as a head, that also indirectly. Who are the people who are directly
Ma'am, the president and his council of ministers.
Correct. It is very correct. It is the prime minister and the council of ministers. So here, as we see that there are lots of powers given to the president, okay, and issued in the names of president also. But the president have to take advice and follow the advice of the prime minister as well as the council of ministers. Just imagine, it is, although it is the president who appoints the prime minister, still he needs to seek advice of the prime minister. Got the contradiction over here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Next is discretionary powers. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. This is the last power among all the powers which we had seen of the president. What does discretionary powers mean? The president can select a member of his or her choice as the prime minister. If no political party wins a clear majority in Lok Sabha and a coalition cannot be formed, however, the selected candidate has to prove his or her majority in the Lok Sabha. Now, if you remember, while appointing the prime minister, okay, it is the president who appoints the prime minister, right? From where does the president appoint the prime minister? From the majority of the political party who wins majority elections in the Lok Sabhas, right? or in case if there is a coalition government formed with 2 or 3 parties, in that case, the president can look over to the winning party or to the coalition parties. Then from there, the president can select the prime minister. But in case, in any Lok Sabha election, if there is no such political party who's winning the elections, and even the coalition government could not be formed, so in that case, how will the president select the prime minister? Right? These are the criteria from where the president selects the prime minister. But if there is no winning party, if there is no coalition government also, from where is he going to select the prime minister? So in that case, the president can select his or her own member of his or own choice. Okay. But here, what is the condition? Whichever candidate the prime minister is selecting, that specific candidate should be able to prove himself. He should be eligible to become the prime minister.
Ma'am, what do you mean by prove himself in the prove his majority in the Lok
He should be
Sabha?
eligible to become the prime minister. That means you have various eligibility criteria. Even if you are applying for any courses in universities or colleges, there are certain eligibility criteria, right? So even for the post of prime minister, there are certain criteria, okay, which is called as eligibility criteria. So that specific person should be eligible to become the prime minister. Okay. And what are the eligibility criteria? We will see in the next paragraph where we will study about prime ministers. Okay. What are the things which makes the position of the prime minister, or the person as eligible for the position of the prime minister? Got it, everyone? Have you all understood discretionary powers? Children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who will tell me what is a discretionary power? Can anyone brief me?
So the discretionary power of the president is that when no majority party wins the election and a coalition cannot be formed, so the president can choose a member of the parliament as the prime minister. But the member has to prove his or her majority in the Lok Sabha.
Yes. Got it, everyone? Now, I will understand. Okay, I'll ask you a few questions. You all can answer me. Now, you all tell me, how does the president selects the prime minister? What are the criteria? How he appoints the prime minister? We had seen in the previous class.
Ma'am, can I tell?
Yes, Shreyas.
Ma'am, the president choose one leader of the winning party or a coalition of parties.
Correct. He will choose any one leader, either from the winning party in Lok Sabha election or either from a coalition government which is formed, okay, after the Lok Sabha election, right? These are the areas from where the president can choose the prime minister. Yes,
ma'am.
But in a different scenario where there is neither any winning party nor any coalition government, so then what is the president going to do? In that case, you all understood the scenario, okay?
Yes,
if there is no winning party or if there is no coalition government, then how is the president going to select the prime minister? He should have something, na?
Ma'am, but
He will
some
choose
other.
any one member.
Yeah, he will choose any member from the parliament, but that member has to qualify, okay, the eligibility criteria of the prime minister, right? Got it? Have you all understood now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am.
but I have a doubt, ma'am.
Yes, Shreyas.
Ma'am, like some or other time there's always a winning party. So, ma'am, how can it be possible?
No, this can happen, na? Not necessary that any majority party will win the election. At times, the party which has majority of seats does not win even after having. And at times, there is a deadlock situation there where coalition also could not be formed. This can happen.
Okay.
Okay.
Ma'am, has it happened before?
That you know of the president one by one, which is the first power of the president?
Executive.
Ma'am,
Executive
executive
powers.
powers.
Second,
Military
Military
powers.
powers.
third,
Legislative
Legislative
powers.
powers.
fourth,
Financial
Financial
powers.
powers.
fifth,
Judicial
Judicial
powers.
powers.
sixth,
Emergency powers.
seventh,
Discretionary
powers.
powers.
discretionary powers. Okay, discretionary powers. So these are all the powers of the
Ma'am,
president.
sorry to interrupt. Now I can share the
Yes.
screen. Can you make me the sense of the vice president are? He must be a citizen of India. He must be at least 35 years old. He must have all the qualifications necessary to be a member of the Rajya Sabha.
Okay. Yes. So this is about vice president. Now, as you all know, please take a screenshot because it is not given in that form in your textbook. This is quite apt. Okay. So the qualifications of the vice president is same as of the president. Okay. It is similar to the president, except that vice president should be eligible for membership to the Rajya Sabha. Only this is important. Okay. Rest everything is similar as of the president. The only difference between the qualifications of vice president is that he should be the eligible membership. He should have the eligible membership of Rajya Sabha. Okay. What is the difference with president's qualification over here? Who will tell me?
Ma'am, the president should have the qualifications necessary to be a member of the Lok Sabha.
Okay, all right. And what is the term of the vice president, children? It is for
Ma'am, it is for up to 5 years.
years. All right. Next, that is the functions of the vice president. Let's see that.
Functions of the vice president. The vice president is the ex officio chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. He takes over the functions of the president in his absence. In the case of a vacancy in the office of a president, the vice president discharges his functions till a new president is elected.
Yes, as you all know, see in school we have principal and then we have vice principal, right? So in case if the principal is on leave or if the principal is not there in school, then who acts as the principal? It is the vice principal. Okay, they sign or they issue the instructions to each and every department, right, as a principal. So similarly, the function is the function of the vice president. In case the vice president is the ex officio chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, and he takes over all the functions of the president in the absence of the president. All right. And for example, if there is a vacancy for the post of a president, for example, if there is a vacancy for the post of a principal, then in that case, who will be a temporary principal in that school?
Ma'am, the vice principal.
Vice principal. So similarly over here, in case there is a vacancy in the office of the president's position, in that case, till the time the new president is appointed, vice president discharges all the functions. Okay, takes care of all the administration. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. All right. Next is the prime minister.
Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the head of the Council of Ministers, which is the most powerful political institution in India. The Indian President is bound to act in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers. Position of the Prime Minister. The Parliament.
Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute, beta. Let us first understand the Prime Minister. Who is the Prime Minister? Then we can go on with different pointers about the position and about the functions of the Prime Minister. All right. First thing is, Prime Minister is the head of the Council of Ministers. Please underline this even in your textbooks, children. Please underline this, that it is the Prime Minister who is the head of the Council of Ministers, which is the most powerful political institution in India. All right. The Indian president is bound to act in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers. Can you see this sentence is repeated almost for the 4th time in your textbook? That it is the president who is bound to, work as per the advices of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. Okay. Dash is the head of Council of Minister. Who is it? Who will give me the answer? Dash is the head of the Council of Ministers.
The Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister. Okay, always remember this. You might get an objective question based upon this. Now, as we all know, see, we had seen so many functions of a president, almost 7 powers of the president, right? But the concluding statement of all these powers is that the president cannot take decisions on his own. He has to follow the advice of the Prime Minister, right? And Prime Minister plays a very important role, right? It is the most powerful position in the institution of India. So let us see what all are the functions of the Prime Minister. Before we discuss that, let me ask you, who is the Prime Minister of our country?
Narendra Modi.
Narendra Modi.
Okay, all right. So let us see what are the functions of the Prime Minister. Okay, what are the different functions the Prime Minister follows? Let's continue. The Prime Minister, you can read better.
Yes, ma'am. He is the elected head of the country. He is the leader of the majority party or the largest coalition in the parliament. He is the link between the president, the people, and the parliament. He advises the president in the discharge of his functions and informs him about the decisions taken by the Council of Ministers. He selects the members of the Council of Ministers. He distributes portfolios among the ministers and presides over the meetings of the Council of Ministers. He coordinates the working of the different departments and is the vital link between the president and the Council of Ministers. He can expand the Council of Ministers and demand the resignation of any minister.
Yes. So these are all the functions of the Prime Ministers. Okay. First, he is the elected head of the country, right? The entire country has to follow the instructions and the laws given by the Prime Minister. Second thing, he is the leader of the majority party, right? Why we are saying that he's the leader of the majority party? Because he is selected from the majority party who had won the elections, right? Yes or no? Or the largest coalition in the parliament. Third, he is the link between the president, the people, and the parliament. Okay, he acts as a mediator between whom? Between the people and between the parliament. Fourth, he advises the president in the discharge of his functions and he informs him about the decisions taken by the Council of Ministers. Fifth, it is the Prime Minister who selects the members of all the Council of Ministers. Okay, right? Who will be the members of the Council of Ministers? That decision is taken by whom? By the Prime Minister only. Next, he distributes portfolios among the ministers and presides over the meetings of the Council of Ministers. So whenever there is a meeting of Council of Ministers, it is he who takes part in it. Next, he coordinates the working of different departments. Okay, you know, as in school, you have different departments: history department, English department, geography department, science department, right? Now, as a principal, what is the principal's duty? The principal makes sure that each department is doing his role, make sure that every department is working and giving their best. So similarly, as a Prime Minister, he makes sure that all the different departments, okay, in the entire government are working properly and is a vital link between whom? The person or the mediator between the president and between the council of ministers. It is the prime minister. Okay. On one side, you have president. On the other side, you have the council of minister. And in between, who works as the mediator? It is the prime minister. Got it, everyone? Next, he can expand the council of ministers and demand resignation of any minister. As you know, we already saw that it is the prime minister who selects who will become the member of the council of ministers. So it is again his decision either to expand it or to reduce the number of members who are there in the council of ministers. So if in case, he finds any member not working properly in the council of ministers, he can demand resignation. All right, from that specific minister. Have you all understood the functions, children? Have you all
Yes, ma'am.
understood? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions you all have? Y'all can ask me.
So, ma'am,
Thus, we can see that the Prime Minister is the real head of the nation. He has to answer for the success or the failure of the government. He is regarded as the leader of the nation. On Independence Day, the Prime Minister addresses the nation from the Red Fort in Delhi.
Yes. Okay. So conclusion is, what is the conclusion? That it is the prime minister who is regarded as the real head of the nation. Okay. If the government is failing or if there is any success in the government, who is answerable? It is only the prime minister for the entire country. Okay. He is also regarded as the leader of the entire nation. And as you all know, on Independence Day, it is the prime minister who addresses the nation. From where? From the Red Fort in Delhi. So there is a, if you now see today's which date? What is today's date, children?
12th. Ma'am, after
12th.
3 days.
Independence Day is on Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I would like you all to, please watch this live. Okay, it is live telecasted on different channels. Make sure that you all watch this live, how the prime minister addresses the nation and how the parade takes place. Have a look. Okay. Next, that is the council of ministers. As we have studied, the president is having.
the time is over.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.